Oh, welcome to the movies, pal. You're the neighborhood master of chaos here. Have a seat. I didn't see you there. Got the fireplace roaring. Nice cold rain is hitting the windows. If you listen closely, you kind of hear the pitter-patter there accompanying us today as we continue our Christmas marathon this month. And we watched a classic film that honestly has to be seen to be believed. I'm going to tell you things in this review that you're not going to believe. I'm going to describe sequences and pieces of dialogue that you're going to say, no way. MC, you're joking. You're pulling my chain. I'm not. I will not be doing that today. This is 100% real. Of course, I'm talking about the greatest film ever to revolve around the topic of magical creatures, and that is the Christmas classic, Elves, from 1989, written and directed by Jeff Mandel. To be perfectly transparent for this review, I am friends with the director, Jeff Mandel. However, I'm not going to let that sway me when it comes to my opinion and my star rating. I will point out every cheesy bit of dialogue, every bizarre plot point, because that's what we're here for. I'm going to be honest. Just wanted you to know that I know Jeff. I think he's a good guy. And I really do enjoy this movie. That's not to say it's not flawless, because it is very flawed at times, but that's part of the fun. Also, as a heads up, I'm going to be showing you stills of the movie. This is from a VHS, so it's not going to look very clean. I apologize, but it's the best I could do. But I think being able to illustrate different points of my review and show you different parts of the movie, I think the benefit outweighs the visual impact. Let's put it that way. So just keep in mind that the stills aren't going to be high quality, but they'll give you an idea what the movie looks like, what the movie feels like, and I think that's important. The movie revolves around a young girl named Kirsten, who is just your typical girl. She works at the mall. She's got a bunch of horny friends, and she hates Christmas. She hates Christmas. You know, she's just not a fan. She also has a really bitchy mom. Like, bitchy bitch mom. For example, in one scene, in the opening scene, Kirsten and her friends do like a ceremony in the woods, and that unwittingly is what unleashes the elves, because she spills her blood into the ground, and then the elves come out. We don't really know why that makes any sense until the end, but then even then it doesn't really make sense. Anyway, her grandpa is really into the occult, and he's got these books, and she's stolen his witchcraft book, and she's going to do something like kill Christmas or something. It's very unclear what she's trying to do. Anyway, she comes home, the grandfather's like, hey, were you in my library? She goes, oh, no. And then he says, oh, I think you were. You stole my book. And then the mom is like, you fucking bitch. How dare you go into your grandfather's library? I'm going to take away your inheritance. Needless to say, she's overreacting a bit. But that just shows you kind of the, shall I say, fun of this movie. A lot of the characters are very turned up to 11 is the best way to put it for this movie. Yeah, it's very much a balls-out performance. The mother, by the way, is played by Deanna Lund, who's in a lot of old TV shows, Land of the Giants and things like that. Speaking of giants, she's in a bathtub in one scene. And good job, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, Kirsten works at this mall. There's these bad guys that work with the grandpa, and we don't really know the backstory yet. All of a sudden, there's a big shootout, and she's saved by Mike. Mike is an ex-police officer, now drunk, hobo, if you will, guy who comes into the mall. Apparently, he has worked security at the mall at one point, and he needs a job. Well, the Santa of the mall, the current Santa of the mall, Kirsten, for some reason, comes to sit on his lap, and he says, hey, give me oral. And obviously, she's upset. Then Santa's fired. Makes sense to me. Guess who is a, chubby guy with a beard? Mike. Hey, Mike, get in here. You're Santa. So Mike, played by Dan Haggerty, by the way. I'm sure most of you know who Dan Haggerty is. Anyway, Dan Haggerty comes in. He is now the new mall Santa. During this weird shootout that comes out of nowhere in the mall, he saves Kirsten. He becomes involved in her storyline. The elves are there. They show up. And let's talk about... Let me pause the plot for a second. Let's talk about these elves. When you make a movie called Elves, and you're talking about Santa's elves, or at least the concept is this is a Christmas movie, and we're using elves, as our basis. This is an elf. Look at this hat. See that? I look like an elf. This is an elf. This is also an elf. I think we can all agree. This is not an elf. I mean, what the hell is that? I never asked Jeff, actually, when he got, did they design this, or did the guy just say, well, I've got this, melted midget old man, we can use that in the back instead of making a whole new monster? Or did they, spend months recreating, okay, what would be the perfect elf? Okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. Now, keep in mind, technically, they're not elves. They just call them elves in the movie. I'll tell you what they are in a minute, but hold on to your hats. Anyway, they're not elves technically, but they're called elves. So, I don't know, I just feel like maybe they should look cuter than, hideous monstrosities. Maybe. Maybe that's just me. Anyway, Kirsten, long story short, finds out that her grandfather, spoiler alert, is her dad. Gross. Her mom had sex with her dad. Well, I should say her dad had sex... her grandfather had sex with her mom to make Kirsten, because, spoiler alert, plot alert, the grandfather's an ex-Nazi. And their master plan was to have incest, somehow create the perfect child, which is Kirsten, and then... I don't even know how this makes any sense. And then create elves that had the master race semen. You know where this is going. And then the elves, or at least one of the elves, would copulate with Kirsten to finally create the master race. Let me show you the elf again. This is where the semen of the master race is coming from. I think there's a huge flaw in their plan. Not just because it looks like a mongoloid Twinkie with hair on it, but because, what? Are you serious? Nazi elves? Oh, they are way serious, my friend. This is 100% what's happening in this movie. So, the good news is the elves don't want to kill Kirsten. They want to bang her. But Mike, of course, is he's a good dude. He's like, well, this is weird and freaky and gross, and I'm going to help her to not get banged by elves. He's moderately helpful. Honestly, his whole part in the movie is him doing research. And at one point, he breaks into this guy's house while he's having, Christmas dinner. And he says, hey, I'm sorry to interrupt your dinner. Hey, what are you doing here? Get out of my house, bro. What are you doing in here? Hey, I'm sorry, my name is Mike, and I'm a hobo, kinda, and I'm a Santa, but I'm an ex-cop, so I'm kind of on this mystery trail trying to figure things out. Hey, tell me all you know about elves. Tell you all I know about fucking elves? Dude, it's Christmas dinner. I need to have my turkey with my family here. Get out of here, I'm not gonna tell you about elves. Just 2 minutes, tell me all you know about elves and Nazis. Okay, well, since you said please, here you go. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, Mike's point of the whole story is to give us backstory as to what the hell is going on, what the significance of elves are, why they call them elves. They shouldn't call them elves. Little people, gnomes, maybe. They're not elves, man. When you say elves and it's a Christmas movie, people picture Santa's elves, right? This is not it. This is not it at all. Nobody knows what the hell this is. Gosh. As weird as this movie is, I still love it. Why is that? This movie is so not good, but it's also great at the same time. 3 stars. 3 stars for Elves. I'll go with 3 stars. It's nonsensical. It's cheap, but it's never boring. It never kind of pushes you over the limit. You're like, okay, I'm turning this off. This is just a waste of my time. It's a fun ride. It's a fun Christmas horror movie, and honestly, that's great. That's what we need. It's not perfect. Obviously, it doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of the characters kind of ham it up a bit, like the mom. but we see her boobies, so it's cool. And honestly, it gives 1 star completely because, are you ready for this? It's got the best line in Christmas horror movies ever. Shall I tell you what it is? Of course I'm going to tell you what it is. You don't even have to ask. In the beginning of the movie, we meet Kirsten's brother, who's a little perv. His name is Willie. He's spying on her in the bathroom. She comes out and says, Willie, what are you doing? You can't look at me. I'm your sister. What the hell's wrong with you? And he says, and I quote, this is 100% real. This is 100% real. This happened in the movie. Okay, enough preamble. Here we go. He says, yeah, and you got big fucking tits, and I'm going to tell everybody that I saw them. Hands down the best line in any Christmas horror movie, maybe in any horror movie ever. Wow, what a line, and expertly delivered by Chris Graham, the young actor who plays Willie. Fantastic, fantastic job. Anyway, that is my review for Elves. It's not a great movie, so be warned. It's not a great movie. It's hard to find. I think it's on YouTube, but it's a fun movie. It's so much fun. You're gonna have a blast. You're gonna laugh your butt off at the elves moving around, their little janky arms and feet, and the ridiculous, Nazi elf sex plot. And then the ending involves some kind of like red ruby that, well, obviously red ruby. Rubies are red, but red crystal that you smash into the ground, and somehow that blows up the elves. That doesn't make any sense. How is it mystical and also genetic? Because of the, Master Race stuff. It doesn't make any sense, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay because it's a movie called Elves, and it's about Nazis, and Merry Christmas. Well, my dude, I'm going to close the theater down. Thank you so much for joining me. It's getting a little cold in here. The snow has gotten inside. I don't want the projector to freeze, so I'm going to shut things down. But thank you for joining me for my review of Elves. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. If you do, you'll see me again tomorrow. Mastercast comes at you daily, and not like an elf. I don't come like an elf, but I come like a human person on YouTube. My friend, I love you. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. It means a lot to me. I hope you're doing well. I really do. Hang in there. It's going to get better. I promise. I promise. Until we meet again, I have been your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos, and you have been entertained.